So it was kind of as a result of Colin Carty, a person that I have met in reality, but mostly met on Facebook, said to me, let's do a talking musical revolution for St Patrick's Night dedicated to Van Morrison. Well, we started to organise Van Morrison talking musical revolution and decided to give it some leeway. With the result that you have the tremendous array of, and there's Martha just arrived, talented performers. There he is, yes, thank you, thank you. That is Joby Fox, ladies and gentlemen. He will later be on this very stage, one of the performers of the evening. Anyway, Colin Carty's not here, so it kind of negates what I'm going to do. But what I'm going to do is what this Talking Musical Revolutions event has usually consisted of is people talking about music, reading features of music, then musicians playing a bit. But tonight, for better or worse, musicians have taken over, so a big hand for the musicians. They've actually created a coup at Talking Musical Revolutions and turned it into music. The agreement I made with Colin Carty that we do this event was that he would read, and he will read later when he arrives, a piece from the underrated autobiography by the late great Liam Clancy, Confessions of an Irish Troubadour. But the other half of the bargain I made with Colin was that Gavin Martin, hi, how you doing, would do a bit on Van Morrison's Summertime in England and why it's a talking musical revolutionary classic. And the thing is that well, where's the hang on, just talk amongst yourselves. Yes, yeah, I've said all that bollocks. Yeah, so yeah, 1980 was when Summertime in England was actually recorded, but it first came into being as a piece in the final months of 1979. When it was recorded in a French monastery turned into a recording studio, and the studio burnt down shortly after the sessions were completed. Now, in 1980, when it was actually recorded, I was newly arrived in England, and I first saw Van Morrison the following year in the Dominion. He played 8 or 9 nights in a row. I think I was there every night, and what had become one of the centerpieces of his stage act was this improvisational piece called Summertime in England, which appeared as a recording on the Common One. But live, that song became something completely other to the recording. It was a kind of an incantation, an invocation of a spirits, and this was not just in the lyrics. I mean, some people, maybe Johnny Rogan and Clinton Halen, Van Morrison biographers, have dismissed this song as a shopping list of livery figures. Well, that's one way of putting it, but I mean, the lyrics are one thing, but the musical dynamic that exists in the song between Van and here's the harp. Is this the harp? Fantastic. Yeah. Big cheer for the harp. Well done. Fantastic. I can't believe it. That's the first ever the harp has yeah. Anyway, the thing about Summertime in England was that Van Morrison, fastidiously non-political artist as he is, although he did play a benefit for striking miners in 1984. I believe it was 84, maybe 85. But at the time that Summertime in England came into being, obviously Margaret Thatcher had just been elected. So throughout the 80s, the day that Margaret Thatcher dies, check that out on YouTube by P. Wiley. That's another talking musical revolution classic, but can't go into that now. Anyway, yeah, so at the same time that England was kind of being, to my mind, defiled, despoiled, deregulated and desecrated by Margaret Thatcher and her plundering banker, corporate funded henchmen, here was this little tubby, balding, backstreet Belfast Buddha performing this sort of ritual every night, night after night on stage. So, you know, what did it mean? Well, the thing was that musically, it's actually on one level a tribute to the great James Brown bands of the early 70s. I have met Van Morrison a few times, and one of the times that he was going to sue me in every court in the land when he come back to sanity was he remembered something favourable about James Brown. Massive James Brown fan, Van Morrison. And so big that he actually got James Brown's musical director of the early 70s period into his band, Pee Wee Ellis by name. And on the version of Summertime in England that we're going to play when I have finally stopped whittering, he both plays the saxophone and he performs the call and response vocal with Van. So what's he singing about? Well, it's well, you know, the aforementioned literary shopping list to me is actually a full-blooded celebration and actualisation of a very different sort of England to the one that was kind of being routed by a masochistic electorate throughout the 80s. That's how it seemed to me. So I was kind of quite drawn to this song, particularly as from the same place as Van Morrison, and Van Morrison could often be said to personify a lot of the kind of personality effects that might pertain in someone who's been brought up in this curious place created by two English apparatchiks in the 1920s called Northern Ireland, kind of a weird state, and you know, Van Morrison's often said to be a weird state of mind himself. But what was something quite beautiful about Summertime in England is that there's this guy who's kind of invoking William Blake, the image of Blake and Christ in England, Avalon. Whoa, Yeats, kind of a transcendent literary feeling which emerges with blues and gospel and jazz, and to me that was kind of like a kind of freedom that had been created. Anyway, I don't want to bore you, go on about Johnny Rogan, Alain Van Morrison with Ian Paisley, with his book called No Surrender being kind of offensive, wrong-headed, because, you know, in the venue with this track we're going to play just now was recorded. Ian Paisley did do a lot of performances there before the Clash weren't able to play in the venue, and a kind of riot happened which created a musical movement which led to, after, you know, lots of pacifying tax dollars from America, politicians actually following what the kids were doing on the street. And you know, what happened in 1982, and this was recorded in June 1982 in Belfast. I was there for 3 nights. This was the middle show in the 3-night run, and it contains, if you listen closely, it contains the greatest response to a heckler since Bob Dylan, 16 years previously, had responded to someone shouting Judas. Anyway, I just thought that this would be an opportunity to play a recording, the B-side of Cry for Home, the 1982 single. It's an abandoned live album that Van never brought out. This is the one track that he did release. He ended up bringing out a live album from a venue about maybe 2 blocks away, called the Belfast Opera House, and that live album has a kind of gentrification. It's a great album, but it's a kind of gentrification of the sound that a more sedate venue would actually bring about. The Ulster Hall, however, I think we were standing up. Anyway, you'll hear if you listen closely, you'll hear the heckle. So, anyway.